Hey Weirdos, it's Thursday. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm joined by...
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And this podcast is for Weirdos.
What are we talking about this week?
We're talking about the Stanley Hotel, another haunted location.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god,
gosh.
3 haunted locations in a row.
Holy
Was there a
cow. Did we plan this?
Did we plan this?
Whoa, we would never.
Actually, no, we didn't.
We totally.
We didn't really plan this.
unintentionally.
We didn't plan for all 3 of us to do a haunted location, but when we recorded, we did plan for them to all go together.
Yeah.
When we got here and went,
Okay,
we all
did
have
a
a
haunted
We'll have a
haunted
location.
We went, good.
Good.
Good job.
We'll put them together.
Go team.
Okay, so what do y'all know about the Stanley?
I know it's the location where Stephen King was inspired to write The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
I know our friends parasocially.
Our friends.
Our friends? We wish there were
We
our
wish
friends.
they were our friends. Connor and Carl used to both work at the Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the eons old Ghost Adventures episode on it that I take with a grain of salt.
We watched some of that
And it
episode
was-
last night.
And hence why we're taking it with a grain of salt.
I also know that it's where Stephen King wrote The Shining, or got the idea to write The Shining. He didn't write it there.
No.
I have never read The Shining, but I have seen the movie. One of the only horror movies I've ever actually watched.
I have never read or watched it.
That's all I know. And I've watched Spirits of the Stanley,
Yeah.
the web series that Carl and Connor did. I watched that, which is very interesting.
Carl and Connor are Connor Randall and Carl Pfeiffer
Of Hellier.
of Hellier.
Not of Hellier. We know them from Hellier. They are of lots of things, like Spirits of the Stanley.
Yeah. Of Hellier fame.
Of Hellier fame.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know that about it. I don't know a
Newkirk
ton about the
adjacent.
history. I think I've heard a podcast episode about it. But I don't remember any of the history stuff from that. So what do you got for us?
Go ahead.
So I'm going to do a brief commercial
For the
for
Stanley?
Stanley.
Oh my
God,
I'm going
amazing.
to give us a couple different stats.
Advertise for us.
And then I'm going to go into the history of Mr. Stanley, who founded the hotel.
Right.
Because his story is important for why the hotel is the way that it is and whatever. The Stanley Hotel is in Estes Park, Colorado, which is an hour and a half from Denver, less than an hour from Boulder, Fort Collins, Loveland, and Longmont. Four of the 5 fastest growing communities in Colorado.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. It is less than 2 miles to Rocky Mountain National Park, the 3rd most popular park in the U.S.
That's your mom's favorite.
It's my mom's favorite. With over 4.5 million visitors annually to the park.
Wow.
Yeah. It is a very popular park.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. The hotel has, on average, these statistics are all from 2019.
Okay.
Or they were compiled in 2019.
Okay, so pre-COVID statistics.
Yeah, pre-COVID statistics. So there are probably some things that have changed, but annually the hotel gets 400,000 visitors. 120,000 of those are overnight guests.
Wow.
Yeah, and there are 100,000 historic tours given on the property annually.
That's impressive.
That's a
It's
lot.
really impressive. I saw these numbers in their media
Their media package.
which I was so grateful for. I was like,
Right.
this has such fun numbers. Because I would have never known 100,000 historic tours a year.
400,000 people go there.
Yeah.
And
quarter of those-
126,000 of those sleep there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people who just go there for the day, for tours, for that kind
But
of
I mean,
stuff.
they also book out so fast.
Right.
Yeah, they book out very, very quickly, but they also have like a restaurant there. They have the bar there. They have
Right.
They
have,
do
like-
shows
like
there
a spa.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
they have live shows, live
Mhm.
events. They have like an in-house magician now that he does
Oh,
like he does
Magic.
really cool like spooky magic.
that's so cool.
I went for my 21st birthday, and they had a pair of magicians there, and they were doing.
Was it Penn and Teller?
No, it was not Penn and Teller.
Oh, we can hope.
I wish I knew the name of
The name of them.
like them, but it was a man and a woman, and they did a really good show. They based it a lot on like Victorian and like
cool.
slightly before
Kind of vaudeville style.
not quite vaudeville, more like spiritualism. They base their show around like spiritualism and like the kinds of things.
So like some Houdini shit.
yeah, some Houdini shit. Houdini
Hated spiritualists.
allegedly performed
At the Stanley?
at the Stanley.
That's cool.
And so there is a trap door in their stage
Mm-hmm.
in the ballroom
Mm-hmm.
that you can see from the upper landing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty neat.
That's cool.
But the property sits on 68 acres. There are 14 buildings as of 2019. And the Stanley Concert Hall and the new Pavilion Amphitheater, built in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
act as live venues that have, over the years, attracted more than 12,000 guests
That's
for
pretty cool.
live events,
Yeah.
including all sorts of different bands
Right.
and Haunted Objects Pod.
Yeah, they went there.
They just this past like October, September,
This past spooky season they were there.
they were there. So a little bit of history into Mr. Stanley.
Mr. Stanley.
So Mr. Freeland Oscar Stanley, affectionately known by the people around him as FO.
Fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off. He also had a brother, Francis Edgar Stanley, and he was known as FE. It was
Fefo.
yeah, FIFO.
Not Fafo, but Fifo.
And they were twins. Yeah.
That's
Do you need-
kinda
Do you need
cute.
me to hold?
No.
Okay. So, FO was a wealthy American inventor, entrepreneur, hotelier, and architect.
That's such a fun word, hotelier.
Yeah.
Hotelier.
But FO and FE grew up in a like lower class family on the East Coast,
Okay.
but they were raised with a lot of value in education,
Okay.
and so very quickly they were instilled with knowledge of science, poetry, and music from an early age.
Okay.
And so like they had
Education was important for them.
education was super, super important, which ultimately leads to the twins' success
Right.
later in life. And so they were born June 1st, 1849.
Ooh.
At age 9, Freeland and Francis started their first business together. At age 9.
At age 9? What
Was it a
he
lemonade
doing?
stand?
No.
A lemonade
Um,
stand.
I'm sorry.
They were
That was rude.
they were refining and selling maple
Moonshine?
sugar.
Maple sugar?
Yeah,
That's clever.
really clever. Couple 9-year-olds.
A couple 9-year-olds, they're like, I know how to get maple syrup out of a tree.
Yeah, we can make sugar out of
We
this.
can make sugar out of that.
And so they used their hard-earned money to purchase wool cloth for school uniforms, and Benjamin Greenleaf's National Arithmetic, a book of equations that they completed together.
They bought a math book
They-
and materials to make themselves school uniforms.
Yes, at age 9.
I have to ask you,
Yeah.
do these stay sweet men? Or do I get to a point where I don't like Mr. Stanley?
You're gonna continue. Everybody loves the Stanleys.
He doesn't become a bad man.
No.
Okay, good.
Sarah's
No.
about to be really
I was like,
upset.
please don't make me hate this man.
No, he does not. At no point does he become a bad man.
Good. I
Um,
need him to be lovable for the whole story, or I'm going to be sad.
yeah, no, he's a fantastic person, and
Good.
even going to the hotel today, like all of the staff still talk about him
Good.
like with such love. They're like,
Such love and reverence.
Such love and reverence because it is a haunted location. Mr. Stanley is sometimes actually around.
Right.
And so they're like, we do genuinely love this man.
Right. He's good people.
He's good people. We do love having him around. But when they reached age 11, their great uncle, Liberty Stanley.
Everyone in this family has good names.
Yeah, they're really, really good. So the twins' father was adopted by Liberty because their actual grandparents had a lot of kids, and they were like, actually, we can't feed y'all, so we're gonna like start adopting y'all out. Liberty Stanley taught both of them the art of violin making. So that was at age 11. By 16, FO had completed 3 violins.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because violins are not easy to make.
They're not.
It takes time.
That's a skill.
But he continued to make them throughout his life, creating many concert-quality pieces still prized today by collectors and musicians.
I would love to have a Stanley violin.
It would be so cool.
I have a violin. I would love to have a Stanley violin.
Yeah.
Add to my musical instrument collection.
In 1863, in the midst of the American Civil War, the brothers were present and witness to the Kingfield Rebellion, a protest against the highly unpopular Enrollment Act and the only anti-union rebellion to occur in the state of Maine. At age 20, the brothers began their collegiate education at Western State Normal School.
I love when people call
Western
it
State
normal.
Weird School.
Right. It's now called the University of Maine, Farmington, with the intention of becoming educators. They wanted to be teachers.
I love these boys.
Yeah, they're real good boys.
I love these little boys.
Well, they're not little anymore.
They're not little boys anymore. They're in college. But I
Yeah.
love these little boys.
Very quickly, Effie decided that school was not for him. He was not
Good.
jiving with the education system, and he left to become a portrait artist. Yeah.
School isn't for me. I'm going to go be a little artist.
FO continued his education and eventually moved to Hebron Academy from 1871 to 1873 and Bowdoin College in Brunswick from 1873 to 1874. And so after that, he became the headmaster of a high school in Mechanic Falls, Maine. And there, at that job as headmaster, he met Flora Jane Record
FJ.
Tileston.
Oh my God, they both have F names.
They do both have F names.
Okay, do they have kids? Damn it. I was going to say, do they name their kids F names too?
They never have kids.
I love them anyway.
But she was a teacher, and she was a skilled pianist.
We've got a violin maker and a pianist.
Yeah.
And they're both teachers.
Yeah.
Lovers of the
She
arts.
loved to play piano. I hated the way that like some of the articles talked about her like being a musician, because it says some competency. A pianist of some competency. It's like,
She was a beautiful piano
you shut
player.
up.
I bet she was phenomenal.
Yeah.
You're
Bet
just
you're
jealous.
No, because
Men.
like throughout FO's life, like he's so in love with Flora.
Good.
They are a match made in heaven. They are a perfect match for each other. We've been going pretty in order of time.
Right.
There's going to be a couple places where I jump around just a little bit.
That's fine.
I'm going to try to tell the most linear story, and then I'm going to go, and
Also,
back when
this
this
happened.
back when that was happening, and da-da-da.
Right.
But so they got married in 1876.
Okay.
In 1881, FO caught tuberculosis.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it killed one of his other brothers, Solomon.
Oh, no.
F-O-F-E.
Solomon.
Solomon was a family name. I think it was.
That's a Bible name. It makes sense.
I think that was their grandfather's name, if I'm remembering
Okay.
right.
Makes sense for the time. Solomon, King
Yeah.
of Kings.
So Solomon Stanley And so because he had caught tuberculosis and watched his brother die of tuberculosis, he decided that he wanted to have a profession that kept him more on his feet, more active than teaching. So he started a manufacturing job and opened the Stanley Practical Drawing Set Factory, feeling that the activity would help him improve and like stay active.
I love that he's like, I'm going to start a manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
For art supplies.
Yeah. Look.
He's got a
For my
niche, let
twin
him live in
brother,
it.
who's a portrait artist, I'm going to make art supplies.
Look, they were raised around the arts and around music.
I
And
love these people.
I love them so much.
This is so good.
Yeah. They're fantastic people. But bad news for this particular business. His investment in it and the business itself were destroyed by a fire later that year in 1882.
Oh, no.
Or I guess probably like school year.
Right, yeah.
But also in 1882, Francis, the other brother, the other twin, Effie, began experimenting with photography. And he got really, really passionate about photography.
Mm-hmm.
And after FO's factory burned down,
Right.
he went to FO and was like, you should get into this photography business with me. I think we could like create a business that will be really successful. Like there's a lot of room to grow. It's a growing field, whatever.
Right. It's still, what year is this?
1882.
So it's still, photography is still relatively
It's
new.
still-
It's not like super duper new, but in the grand scheme of photography, it's
It's new.
very new.
And so they wanted to create a new product to be able to sell, to use in photography.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yep,
My
go ahead.
brain, you said use. My brain went youths to sell to youths
sell
in,
to
youths. To sell
in
to the
photography.
youths.
Get the youth into photography.
I was like, I mean, go pop off.
Pop off.
You got to get them kids into photography.
Yeah.
Corner of the market.
But by 1885, so 3 years later, the Stanley brothers had established the Stanley Dry Plate Company in Lewiston, Maine.
Oh, dry plate photography.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it. I'm
So-
there. Sorry.
Up until like before the Stanleys, there were people doing dry plate photography, but it was few and far between. It was maybe 3 other people, and it was
Right.
not widespread.
Right.
It was still mostly wet. What is it? Like activation,
Yeah.
like tintype and whatnot. Which is a lot more fragile, a lot harder to do, more time intensive. Yeah, most photographers were still using a wet plate Colliden process.
Right.
And by perfecting their factory process of like creating dry plate materials and perfecting the formulas, the Stanley Company quickly rose in success and
Right.
popularity among photographers.
Right. People were like, "Oh, we can do this, and it doesn't cost me $1 billion."
Right, because it was
Sign me up.
it was factory made, and so it
Right.
was
It was cheaper.
a lot cheaper rather than like handmade tin plates and whatnot. And so it became a lot easier and a lot quicker to be able to.
Tintype's expensive.
Yeah.
Even now, tintype is
Oh, yeah.
hard and expensive.
Well, now it's that's now because it's like niche and weird
Yeah,
and cool
it's niche
stuff.
and fun.
It's a good thing that hipsters do.
Yeah. We should get a tintype
No.
for the office. We should get a tintype for the
Oh,
office.
just like tintype.
Yeah,
not
of
like,
us.
Okay.
So while they are in the photography business and making these dry plate
Things.
things,
The materials.
the materials for
Dry plate
photography.
Pop off kings.
The factory next door to their factory was a bike factory.
Oh.
They made bicycles.
Bicycles.
And it was owned by Sterling Elliott.
Okay.
This adjacent factory. And Francis,
Do we like Jason Sterling Elliott?
yeah,
Okay.
he's a neutral character.
Great.
I had to be ready to protect my Fs.
The boys,
Like
yeah.
the boys.
Francis became fascinated with these bicycles and like the craze around the bicycle. and attempted to get his wife like interested in bicycles.
If she was a feminist, she would have been.
Well, she tried. She
Okay.
tried the bike and she fell over, and she was like, "I swear it off. I'm never riding a bike
Never
again.
touching a bike again.
I fell off. That was embarrassing."
Girlfriend.
And Francis told, this is a quote. Francis told her, "Never mind you, Gusty. I will build something so that we can ride together in safety and comfort."
You gusty.
Yeah,
I love them so much.
Sorry, that's a really funny
they're
word.
so silly.
Never mind, you silly goose. I'll build us something so you don't have to ride the bike, but I'll do it for both of us.
Right. We're
Because
both,
I love you so much.
so we can hold hands.
So we can hold hands and ride our bicycle.
So Francis began to build an automobile, a project that soon took his entire attention. Like this is his passion project.
I'm making a car.
He's absolutely everything into it. And so he was doing a lot of research into like how other people were making automobiles and like what kind of engines are people using. And he considered combustion, electricity, and steam. He determined that steam was the best option.
He made a steam car.
Yeah.
Go boom.
Steam-powered giraffe. Steam-powered automobile.
And so he made the steam car, and in 1898,
100 years before Mackenzie.
1898, Francis convinces FO to come out to because it's not the World Fair. It was the Boston Auto Show.
Ooh.
And so he convinces FO to come out to the Boston Auto Show to look at his steam car that he has built.
Look, brother, at what I have done.
And FO loves it. FO's like, "Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Right.
We should make those." And so
pretty neato burrito.
pretty neato burrito. And so they together create the Stanley Motor Carriage Company. And they start
That's awesome.
producing these steam cars.
We were so close to it. Like, this is genuinely true steampunk. It's during the Victorian era.
Yeah.
We have steam-powered cars in fucking Maine.
Yeah. And it's really, really fucking cool because there was a number of different people and places that really took to the steam cars. And so it did take off. And it was a successful business. Even if it was never going to eclipse things like Ford or any other like big American car companies.
Right.
But these were smaller cars. And if you go to the Stanley today, they actually have one of the original steam cars in the lobby of the hotel. It's pretty neat.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
Yeah. In 1899, 100 years pre-Christopher,
PK.
PK.
PK,
BK, actually. Because it's
Before
not pre,
Christopher.
Before Christopher.
John Brisbane Walker, editor of Cosmopolitan magazine,
Ooh, fancy.
expressed interest in purchasing the Stanley's car business. They were reluctant to sell. They were like, I don't really want to sell our business because, like, I think we're running it pretty well, whatever. And they asked for what they thought a good deal would be. They said, we'll sell it to you for $250,000 cash.
Right?
I did not do the calculation
Conversion.
to see what that
That's
would
a
be
lot
today.
of money.
A whole lot of money.
1899. That's a whole
A
assload
whole
of money.
lot of money. And to their surprise, Walker accepted the offer. He had to go find an investor
Right.
to help pay for it. But the investor was like, "Oh, fuck yeah, that sounds fucking incredible."
Right. So that means that it was a lot of money. They were doing the like me with Ryan's truck, where I'm like, sure, I'll sell it to you. You got $1 million?
Yeah, you got $1 million?
Yeah.
And somebody went,
Yeah.
yeah, I can find $1 million.
And you're gonna
And they
go,
were like, fuck. All right.
Yeah. And so Walker had a partnership with the Asphalt King, Amzi L. Barber. What a name.
The Asphalt King.
to finance the deal. And so that was the partner in the deal.
That was the investor that he found.
For a few months, Walker and Barber ran the enterprise together. So they ran the business together. And the Stanley brothers stayed on as consultants. They were helping run the business and trade things over and slowly move things.
As you do in an amicable business transaction.
Exactly.
We'll help you keep it up and running before you take over.
Make sure everybody's trained and whatnot.
Right.
But very quickly the business fell apart.
Not their fault.
Not their fault. They were gone from the company.
Yeah, they lost the Wonder Twins.
Before it fell apart. But the investor and Mr. Walker did not get along, and so that fell apart pretty quickly.
Right.
Maybe pick an investor you can be friends with.
Right.
Not just the person that has the most money.
Exactly.
Right.
Pro tip if you're going to invest in something.
Mm-hmm.
Like our podcast.
Or seek an investor. You want to invest in us? We're cool people.
Send us an email.
Send us an email.
This podcast is for weirdos@gmail.com.
But while they were still employed by their own company, they both kind of worked in the marketing department and pulled some fun, crazy stunts. Stunts in big old quotation marks.
Right.
Freeland and Flora Stanley became the first motorists to reach the top of Mount Washington, the highest peak in New England.
I love that.
Right?
They drove their little car up
They
the
drove
mountain.
their steam car up the mountain.
Cute. Your steam car, too, could make it up the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Just buy one. Stanley Motor Company.
Exactly. You, too, can make it to the top of the mountain and still look really cute and not be all sweaty.
And not be all sweaty and gross. You'll be in your fun little car.
Mm-hmm. Beep, beep.
With your wife.
With your wife. Your wife can go.
You can hold hands with your wife the whole time. And it's not because she's going to trip over rocks. It's because you want to.
Yeah.
She can look as cute as she wants to.
Mm-hmm.
And not sweat off her makeup.
And so that year in November, so 1899 November, FO gave William McKinley a tour of Washington, D.C. in a Stanley automobile.
The president?
The president?
He was the first. It was the first time a sitting U.S. president had ridden in a car.
That's
And
so
the Stanleys
cool.
facilitated that.
Yeah.
The Stanleys,
In
of
a
Stanley
steam
Hotel
car.
fame, drove a president around in a steam car, and it was the first president to ever be
Stanley
in a
steam
car.
Well, and be president at the same
And
time.
be president. A sitting president had ever driven in a car.
Yes. Ridden.
Ridden in a car.
He didn't drive
Been
a car.
in a vehicle.
Been in a vehicle.
A car vehicle. An automobile.
Automobile. But yeah, so within the year, the company did dissolve, and so there was no more Stanley Motor Company.
That's so
That
sad.
is so sad.
Yeah. But in 1901, the brothers were like, well, that fucking blows. I guess we're going to try again.
And they're like, well, that business is gone. New time. New business time.
New time. And so the Stanley Motor Carriage, or they started production of the Stanley Motor Carriage again in 1901 using their old name.
I wonder if that investor was like, these sons of bitches.
They took my name that I took from them for $125,000.
They
Was
did.
it
They
that
did.
much?
250.
$250,000.
They repurchased the patents from
Oh, good.
them back, but for $20,000 in 1903.
A steal.
Yeah. The quality of the cars was so great that their photography rivals, like the rival of their photography business,
Right, I forgot they also have a photography business still.
George Eastman, became an avid customer.
Oh my God.
And he got himself a Stanley steamer in 1901.
Stanley Steamer gets your home cleaner.
Yep. It's not that kind of steamer, though.
No.
That relationship between Mr. Eastman and the Stanleys did maintain. And in 1905, the Stanleys sold their dry plate company to the Eastman Kodak company.
Oh my God.
It's the Kodak.
Like Kodak?
Kodak
Like
of
Kodak fame?
yeah, Kodak of Kodak fame.
cameras?
You know, George Eastman created the Eastman Kodak like photography company.
Oh my God.
Now colloquially known as Kodak. Kodak was the location that the business started.
Okay, so it was Eastman Kodak, like, I own it, here's where I am.
Yeah.
And now it's just Kodak.
Yeah.
That's so...
It's still named Eastman Kodak.
No, it's not. It's just Kodak. I know it is named that, but nobody calls it that.
Nobody calls it that. Colloquially, it is Kodak.
That's so cool
Yeah.
that they were like, we have a cool photography business and cool cars. And he was like, I'm your photography rival. I would like to purchase a car.
I'd like to purchase a car
And then he
because
bought
your
a-
cars are really cool.
And then he bought a car and he was like, fuck, I kind of like you guys. And they were
Yeah.
like, do you want to buy our photography business? We're doing a lot with the cars now.
Yeah.
We have gotten into cars.
We're really into cars
We're
right
really
now.
into cars right now. Do you want the camera shit that we were into? And he's like, yeah. And
Yeah.
now we know him as the camera guy. He's the camera guy.
He's the camera guy.
Kodak.
And like he's everywhere.
That's the film guy.
Yeah. And so like their film recipe is what
Became
pushed Kodak even further to become the Kodak that we know today.
That's so cool.
It's pretty neat.
I am learning so much right now.
The Stanleys had their little fingers everywhere. They were doing everything.
I love these people.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I don't ever have to regret that.
Yeah.
I don't ever have to go,
or
and
compete
then the
with
crimes
them.
came.
Right.
Or compete with them because
Oh, you know.
clearly you're gonna lose.
You're gonna lose.
You're going to lose. And they're going to continue having fun.
Right. They're going to have a great time. And they're not even going to feel like, haha, we won. They're just going to be like, what's our new hobby, brother?
Yeah. So 1901, they restart their business. 1905, they sell the photography business. But in 1903, FO got tuberculosis again.
Oh,
and
no.
It came back really, really bad.
Yeah.
With a vengeance, one would say.
Yeah. And so it was life-threatening, and the recommended treatment at the time was
Go west.
go west, go to clean air, go get dry air,
west,
high
yeah.
altitudes.
Yeah.
And so,
Breathe some good air, eat some good food, stay in the sun.
yep. And
You'll
so
be maybe fine.
FO and Flora went to Colorado. They went to Denver.
They left Effie behind.
Yep, they did.
Oh.
Oh,
Did Francis ever marry?
Francis married.
Okay.
His wife fell off the
Oh,
bicycle.
his wife was the bike one. Right.
Yes,
He had bike wife.
bike wife. I didn't write her name down because
That's okay.
That was
Very
her
brief.
moment in the story.
Right. I forgot that was bike wife. At
bike
least he's
wife
not
energy.
alone. He has bike wife.
Yeah,
To get my
I did hear bike
Thank
wife
you.
energy.
bike wife energy. But so once arriving in Denver, the doctors there were like, "You should go to Estes Park. It's a little tiny like little hunting town. There's like nobody out there. It's really cute, and you should go there.
There's like no industrial stuff. There's
Right.
no like smog.
Exactly. Like it's better than Denver. Like
It's true mountain
it's
air.
yeah. You're gonna. That's the good shit. And so they had arrived in Denver in June.
I prescribe you Estes Park.
Yeah. I guess was it June or was it May? Okay. They
early
arrived
summer.
they arrived in Denver in March. By June they were in Estes Park.
Okay, so just a couple months.
Couple months. They quickly moved themselves over there. They got themselves a like little shack that they lived in for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And FO made a complete recovery. He was out there with Flora taking
God
hikes.
bless.
They were having fun. They were just living out there in nature. They were like living their best life.
Good. I'm so happy that he didn't die of the tuberculosis
Right.
right then and there.
Exactly. But so they really started to miss their very like rich and famous type
Suburban lifestyle.
their suburban lifestyle that they were inviting friends over and like this and that because they were living in a little shack.
Oh, they were hosts.
Yeah.
They were little
They
host
loved-
hostess.
They loved to have a little
How
party.
Victorian.
Yeah. And so they really missed that. And so they started to build a big house.
I know where this is going because they built a hotel. I love that it's like we built a hotel not because we like wanted to be like hotel people, but because we liked to host.
Yeah, we like to host. Because they built a house.
I said that's so cute, not into my microphone.
They built this house so that Flora could host more parties. Like have people over and like host friends and family.
I love that.
And then eventually that became not enough. And so they're like, what if we built like a little hotel? What if we built a little hotel?
We love people who support each other
Yeah.
and their interests. And those interests just happen to be hosting.
Okay, but the house that they built,
The big house.
the not shack house.
The not shack.
Was actually fascinating. I did not know any of this about this house.
Oh, cool.
So it was completed in 1904. It had 4 bedrooms, big living areas, and a modern kitchen so that Flora could entertain guests. Stanley had billiards. He had
A pool table.
Yeah, he designed his basement with space for billiard table, a detached garage with a violin workshop, and a turntable so that the steam car could exit the garage without reversing.
What an icon.
I love silly rich people.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to put a turntable in my garage so I don't ever have to back up my car.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put in a billiards table.
I don't want to back up my steam.
I don't want to back up my steam-powered car that I designed with my brother.
Yeah.
I would like
I would like it to have a turntable.
I would like for it to
please.
spin like it is in the Batcave.
Yep.
Thank you.
He wanted to be Batman before Batman was a thing.
You wanted to be Batman before Batman was a thing.
Um,
And you know what? I think you might be.
he might be.
He might be good Batman.
He's
Early Batman.
He's a good guy.
Iconic.
But Stanley loved Estes Park so much and wanted more people to enjoy the area, and resolved, like, in himself to turn Estes Park into a little resort town.
Look what he did.
Look at what he did
400,000 people go there every year.
to his hotel.
To his hotel.
That's not even just the rest of the
No,
town.
I know, but 400,000 people go there every year now, and that's all because of him.
I need you to know.
I might cry about this man.
Remember how I said, what was it, like 4.2 million go to Rocky Mountain National Park?
Yeah.
The park did not exist before the hotel.
It's his.
I'm gonna cry.
Oh my
He had a huge hand in the creation of Rocky Mountain National Park.
Mr. Stanley, you can't hear me. You might.
He
Maybe
might.
You're here in my room. We're evoking you. I'm crying about your exploits. Like,
Yeah.
Actual tears are falling from my eyes.
This-
You're such a good man.
This man is so good. Like
You wipe my eyeballs that are genuinely crying.
he got like he went through the effort of like after the hotel was built and like he loved the area so much he wanted Rocky Mountain National Park to be created to preserve like
the beautiful
the
majesty.
beautiful majesty of the area. And so like he was
love
hiring
rich people
biologists
who just want to help their community,
Like,
like
he-
make their community be a good community.
Yeah. He wanted nothing but good things for his area.
I love that.
Yeah, he's super fucking cool.
I love a good rich person.
In 1907, they began construction on the Stanley Hotel to cater to wealthy urbanites from like Denver and people like the people that they used to hang out with
Right.
when they lived on the East Coast.
Right.
And the hotel was one of the first to have power, and it had power because Mr. Stanley built the Fall River Hydro Plant, which brought electricity not only to his hotel but to the entirety of Estes Park.
Oh my gosh.
Iconic.
For the first time, like nobody had power. Now
Right.
everybody had power
Now everyone has power. Oh.
because FO said, "What
He
if we
went-
powered the hotel?"
What if we had electricity? Okay.
Upon opening, the hotel had fully electric kitchen and steam laundry, a hydraulic elevator that is still there in the hotel.
Does it work?
Yeah,
Can you go in it?
sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like we're not getting on the elevator today.
Right.
And they have a modern
regular
elevator
elevator,
in another location, but like the elevator that is in the lobby is the
The
original
hydraulic
elevator.
That's so cool.
It had electric lights and telephones and 48 guest rooms. Each guest room had like shared a bathroom.
Okay.
Sweets.
Yeah.
So it was like
Like a Jack and Jill bathroom.
okay, like two guest rooms per bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So there were 24 bathrooms.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
And in this time, FO built the concert hall
Mm-hmm.
a short walk away from the hotel,
Right.
and bought Flora a Steinway piano. That piano is still in the hotel. It's actually in,
He built his wife a place to perform
yeah.
and bought her a piano. He said, I built you a hotel to entertain at, and I've built you a concert hall to go play piano in front of people. I love you so much.
Yeah. They had
Guess what
I'm
I
not going
am
to cry about this
not
man again,
okay.
but goddamn.
they have a Tiffany chandelier in the ballroom. It is
How your eyeballs feeling, dude?
gorgeous.
I'm
Like,
not going to cry again. I already got it out.
This hotel is a love letter from FO to his wife.
Right.
And
To
from
Estes
FO
Park.
to Estes Park. It is so fucking sweet. Like this, we will get into it.
We better.
During the day, guests at the Stanley enjoyed golf, bowling, and horseback riding, and motor excursions.
I'd
So
like
Of
to
course,
enjoy all
fancy
of
car
those
time.
exactly, they had a fleet of steam cars.
They had hotel steam cars.
Mhm.
You can go on a ride in one of our steam cars.
They had steam cars that would take you from the nearest airport to the hotel.
They had airport shuttles
Mm-hmm.
that were steam
Before
cars.
airport
Mhm.
shuttles were cool.
They created a new version of the steam car that had 12 seats. So that
Literally,
to take people into what is now Rocky Mountain National Park.
We haven't even
yes.
got to the ghost yet.
Um,
This is just a fun history lesson so far, and I'm loving it.
so it was marketed as the Mountain Wagon and became popular with other resorts, such as those near present-day Olympic National Park in the state of Washington.
Oh my god!
And so these mountain wagons were also used in
Elsewhere.
other places. So not just here. Like these became popular for similar
So
areas.
now they were selling cars to other hotels to be these cool, like, oh, now you can also have like a fun guided tour in a car.
Yeah. So cool.
Cool.
And then Rocky Mountain National Park became the 10th national park of the United
Oh.
States.
Number 10.
Mr. Stanley did not drink alcohol, and having survived tuberculosis, he didn't smoke at all. No cigars.
Bad. Don't do that.
Don't
to
do
my lungs.
that. Unlike most men of his day.
Right. Not drinking or smoking is very interesting that he did neither.
Right. He was absolutely devoted to his wife, who they were married for 63 years before she died, and then the year after he died.
Because he was so in love that he couldn't keep living.
Yeah. They never had children, but
Sarah out here not okay at all.
I'm
this
not.
Yeah.
I'm having a rough time because of how much these two people love each other. It's very cool.
Oh,
It's very sweet.
they love each other so much.
That hotel is their baby. That's
Yeah.
why they didn't have children. They had a hotel.
Yeah, they remained really close to like Effie and his wife and their children. So like they took really good care
They got
of
to
their
be
nieces
auntie
and
and uncle.
nephews. And then this got me when I was writing everything.
Am
up
I
and
gonna
was-
cry? Is this gonna make me cry?
Hopefully not, but you're gonna just definitely be like,
Okay.
They were notoriously kind to the children of Estes Park and those who visited the Stanley Hotel. He showed a sense of humor, posing for photographs, dressed as your Western man in a 10-gallon hat and woolly chaps, and as the king of Estes Park with a tin can on his head for a crown placed there by the local children.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry again. This
So,
man was uncle to all.
he was uncle to all.
Uncle to everyone.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
They
He was the best.
full of love for everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is so rare
When we
in
talk
that
about stuff
era
like this,
to find such a genuinely good person
Right?
that we are talking about.
Yeah. Like, genuinely, so many good things happened here. And, like, that is the attribute attribution of like so many good things happening at this location is why it is as haunted as it is.
Right.
It's not scary hauntings. When we
No.
get to talking about the ghosts,
It's just
like
love.
it's mostly people who are like, I just had a really good time
I
here.
really liked it there. So when I die, I want to go
I
back
want to
there.
go back there. I just want to hang out there forever.
The idea of getting to pick your own heaven. And
Yeah.
you're like, I really liked that hotel I stayed at in that one place in Colorado that one time.
Yeah.
That really nice man with a tin can on his head.
Yeah. That really nice man.
That man who let me put a tin can on his head when I was 5.
Yeah. So the hotel itself is built in a Georgian colonial revival style. So one thing that I thought was interesting that I didn't know before doing this research is that the original color was yellow.
Oh.
It was yellow
Cute.
with a
Not
red
white.
wool. Yeah. Not white. It was painted white in I think the 1950s.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
But those are the only two colors that the hotel has ever been. It was
yellow and
yellow
white.
and then it was white. It has always had the red roof.
the red
though.
roof.
It is.
That it was so cute when it was yellow.
Oh, I bet so.
like a nice butter yellow.
Mm-hmm. Like it is such a striking hotel. It is so pretty.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
And I'm going like all of the pictures that I post are going to be pictures that like I and my mom have taken.
Right.
Because like we've gone to the Stanley a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty cool. And so in the architecture, it's all very balanced. There's only a couple different things that have been made unbalanced since the building of the hotel. There was an extra gable added to the right of the bell tower installed to support the elevator in 1935.
So when they installed the new elevator.
And 2 additional windows on the lower level of the west wing of the hotel were added. And I will tell you when these were added in a minute.
Okay.
Because there was an event that happened
Okay.
that required some remodeling.
Okay.
And then there was like a porch that was enclosed to expand the dining room because it just wasn't big enough to host as many people as they were hosting.
Right.
There was a rumor that in the yellow paint that the hotel originally was, that the Stanleys had put flecks of gold in the yellow paint.
And then they painted it white lame.
Right. But that
I feel like that's something they would do.
I know it feels like something they would do. It's not been like substantiated,
Right.
but that was a rumor at the time.
It's so eloquent. Eloquent?
Elegant.
Elegant.
There
was
we
what
go.
I meant. Because I was also going to say opulent, and those
Yes.
combined into eloquent.
Yes.
That they put gold in the very paint.
In the paint, just for the outside, not even the inside.
Just for the outside. It'll shine in the sun.
But over the years, there's been some very, very famous guests that have graced the halls of the Stanley Hotel. So in 1934, Erich Fromm, the German psychoanalyst.
Oh.
In 1936, Governor Alf Landon,
Alf.
who was running for president against FDR.
Clearly lost.
Did not win.
Yeah, he did not win. In 1974, Stephen King.
We know of that one.
Yeah, he stayed in room 217.
Oh my gosh.
In
Shocking.
1976, Bob Dylan and Joan Baez,
oh my god.
folk revival icons, stayed there during their Rolling Thunder review tour. In 1994, Emperor Akihito of Japan, Empress Michiko, and Crown Prince Naruhito, that one I might have messed up,
You did your best.
visited on a state visit to the U.S. They also stayed in room 217. In 1994, the Dumb and Dumber cast and crew, including Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, stayed there because they were filming there. There are stories about Jim Carrey leaving in the middle of the night and demanding a reservation at another hotel because he got scared.
He would.
He would.
Got spooked.
And then in 1996, the Shining miniseries cast and crew also stayed there.
Which that's the other one.
That's the other one. That's the one that Stephen King does like. And it did film there at the Stanley,
That
which
makes
is
sense.
why they stayed. Musicians that have stayed there and performed there: Rick Springfield, Los Lobos, David Crosby, Three Dog Night,
Oh my
Bacon
God, Three Dog
Brothers,
Night.
and Graham Nash.
Do you know Three Dog Night? Or are you being facetious?
Three Dog Night are Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog.
Oh.
And then a couple others, mostly like speakers that have spoken there: Jim Brewer, Tom Papa, Josh Blue, Dana Gold, and Dr. Temple Grandin. So pretty cool list of people. So now, an hour into things,
Hey,
we're gonna get into the haunts.
amazing.
Really fun history though.
Right,
I
like
hope,
the history is important. You need to know how loved this place was.
yeah.
You gotta.
Um,
And how bootstrappy those boys were.
yeah. They're truly
The American dream.
the American dream. They're who people think they can be nowadays.
Yep.
Unfortunately, no.
It's harder now.
It's so much harder to create
You
any
can't
business.
invent a steam car anymore. Unfortunately, I mean you could.
Hey, we should invent a steam car.
I don't think it's called inventing anymore. It's been done.
Okay, but if we do it differently, then it's inventing.
Christopher,
Yes,
look me in my eyes.
I'm looking in your eyes.
No.
We, repeat after me. Actually.
Oh, okay.
We
We
are not
are not
engineers.
engineers.
We
We
don't understand
don't understand
how engines work.
how engines work.
We, one more,
We
have
have
liberal arts degrees.
liberal arts degrees.
One more. We
We
are
are
idiots.
idiots.
Last one. We
We
are
are
podcasters.
casters.
Dun 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 dun.
So we're gonna start with Stephen King.
Hit me with that, man.
Don't.
Don't actually. That would hurt.
Yeah, that would hurt.
I mean, he's not a
First
big
you gotta
man,
find him.
but good
Yeah,
luck.
I don't want to touch him. So, after writing Carrie and Salem's Lot, which are both set in
Maine.
King's hometown in Maine,
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to find a new place to write about for his book. So he and his
Right.
wife took a road trip, and they spent a year away from Maine, so that
Goodness.
they would have
A bunch of different places.
a bunch of different places and a bunch of different contexts of other places and whatnot. And he opened an atlas of the United States on his kitchen table and randomly pointed to a location, and it ended up being
Estes Park.
Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, Boulder. Okay. Boulder.
On their way there, they kind of got stuck in Estes Park.
Oh.
On like the last day of the season, and so like the hotel had nobody else. It was the only hotel in the area.
Right.
Like there were no like little Motel 6s, and the staff was like getting ready to close everything. It was October 30th.
Right.
So spooky season too, which it probably wasn't as big of a spooky season then as it is now, because
Right.
Halloween as we know it is a very, very new concept.
Yeah, it is relatively a newer thing.
And
We
like-
should do an episode about the history of Halloween
That would be really
as a
fun.
fourth episode.
maybe
Maybe
next
next.
Halloween.
Maybe
Yeah,
next Halloween.
Stay tuned for next Halloween.
Stay tuned for next Halloween,
And pray that we remember
which
that.
is actually this Halloween at this point. It is 2025.
You're right.
And you just stop talking.
Sorry.
So they arrived and they were getting ready to close. They were the only guests in the hotel.
Ooh.
It was just them and the remainder of the staff.
The staff.
And this is in 1974.
That's the year
olden
my mommy
days.
was born.
They had dinner alone in the restaurant. All of the other tables and chairs were all stacked up by the wall because at this time the hotel still had like an on season and an off season.
Off-season.
And so whenever it was too snowy, they would close up the hotel. At the end of October, they would close up the hotel until the springtime when
Right.
everything thawed and tourists came back.
Right.
Because it was not as feasible.
Right.
Then,
Less people were visiting in the winter then.
Right. And so they had dinner at the only table and two chairs that were not stacked up against the wall.
That's crazy. I wonder if they had to unstack those table and chairs because they checked in.
The staff probably did.
Yeah, they were like,
They're like, God damn it.
We just stacked everything.
We ain't got no reservations.
Yeah. They
They were all ready to go home. They were like, "Oh my god."
they were offered the last food that was available in the hotel. They were like, you can have this or you can be hungry.
They're like, "We have the chicken.
Yeah.
Do you want the chicken?"
Yeah, it's like the only option you have is what we have.
Right.
So that's what you're getting.
Mhm.
If you have problems, there's
Suck
snow
it.
outside.
Go eat the snow.
And so this is a quote from Stephen King, which I included a couple different quotes from him because I think they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sets the tone for like what all was going on
Right.
in his head
Right.
this night. Except for our table, all the chairs were up on the tables. So the music is echoing down the hall. And I mean, it was like God had put me there to hear that and see those things.
Mm.
And so in 1972, so 2 years prior to this, he had started a novel called Darkshine, which was going to be about a psychic boy in a psychic amusement park, but it never came to fruition.
Okay.
And
Psychic amusement park sounds scary.
it sounds terrifying.
Hate that a lot.
But he abandoned it. He abandoned that project. There wasn't enough there in that storyline for him to finish it.
Right. He was like, "Actually, I don't want to do this."
Yeah, actually, this story sucks.
Yeah, actually, I've had a bad idea, and it was this.
Yeah, but
He needed a book.
this night, for whatever reason, that story came back to him. He started thinking about it again.
Mm.
And after dinner, his wife went to bed. She was like, "I'm done."
She was like, "I'm tired. It's cold.
Yeah, but
I had chicken I didn't really want."
exactly. I don't want to be here. I want to keep moving.
Right.
And so he took a little walk around the hotel and ended up at the bar and was served drinks by a bartender named Grady,
Grady.
which is the bartender in
The Shining.
The Shining. Who, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen The Shining, Grady is a ghost.
Yeah, Grady's not real.
Grady's not real. And so in Stephen King's words, "That night I dreamed of my 3-year-old son running through the corridors, looking back over his shoulder, eyes wide, screaming.
I thought he was about to say eyes wide shut, and I was like, we gone.
He was being chased by a fire hose. I woke up with a tremendous jerk, sweating all over, within an inch of falling out of bed. I
Damn.
got up, lit a cigarette, sat in a chair looking out the window at the Rockies. And by the time the cigarette was done, I had the bones of the book firmly set in my head."
I'm uncomfy.
Yeah.
And I get that he's a horror writer, but like that whole experience, like,
Yeah.
blah.
But like, he had a nightmare because he and his wife were the only 2 people in this hotel.
Right.
And like, it's a spooky setting. It's a spooky. We're closing up because like it's about to get dangerous around here. It's about to be like too cold for like
Right.
people who aren't from here to like be here. Like you really made it by like the fucking skin of your teeth.
For us to even actually let you in.
Right. And so
And he already had the idea of the like psychic boy situation, and then he had a nightmare about his kid.
Yeah.
His little kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that ended up becoming The Shining.
Right.
And so
Bananagrams.
yeah. The couple other books that the book was influenced by: Shirley Jackson's 1959 novel The Haunting of Hill House.
I know that one.
Now in Netflix.
Yeah, I was like, it's a Netflix series now, yeah?
Yeah. Edgar Allan Poe's short stories The Fall of the House of Usher
Mm-hmm.
and
that one.
the Mask of the Red Death.
Both good.
Yep.
Robert Marasco's 1973 novel Burnt Offerings, and Ray Bradbury's 1950 short story The Veldt.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
That's not one I know.
It sounds really cool. It is.
I really
it
thought
has
you
a
were about
s-
to say Fahrenheit
Well, of course, that's the
451.
only
451, and
That's
I was
the
like,
Red Dead.
and I went, that doesn't
doesn't
sound
make
right for that
sense.
story.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying it, and I was like, if he says 451, I'm gonna be really fucking confused.
It's a short. It's one of his short stories. Ray Bradbury is a prolific writer.
I really enjoy his work.
I do too.
I would really like to read The Veldt now because I think it. If I'm remembering my research correctly, it has some element of like psychic kids.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, like some weirdness.
We can look it up after we
Yeah.
record.
So that is the story of The Shining. After The Shining has come out and like the information about The Shining has been made aware, like that this hotel was kind of the inspiration. More haunting had like lore picked up, like more stories came out about the hotel,
Right.
and so people were claiming scarier and scarier things.
Right.
But to go through a couple of the spirits that are
Of
known
the
to haunt
Stanley?
the Stanley,
The spirits of the
the
Stanley.
spirits of the Stanley, if you will. Highly recommend that series. It is
Great
very
series.
fun. FO and Flora, they're both
Makes sense.
fairly regularly seen. FO is mainly seen in the bar and in the billiards room. There are some mirrors in the billiards room that if you take a picture in those mirrors, sometimes you might catch him in the background.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
He's
be
just back there like,
he's just like hanging out.
Hey.
Hey guys.
he makes eye contact with your camera in the mirror, and he's like, gotta strike a pose.
Yeah.
I'm an icon.
And Flora is seen all over the place.
Because she's flitting about like a little hostess.
Yes, but two of the most common, or the number one most common interaction with Flora is not a visual. It's a you smell her perfume.
I thought you were going to say you hear her playing piano, and I was going to cry.
Get
that
ready
next?
to cry in a minute.
I love that people are like, Flora.
Yeah, well, because whenever I was there, I smelled her perfume walk by.
Oh,
Christopher.
you met her.
She like in a passing, like I was like, did anybody else just smell that? And they went, no. I was like, interesting.
Say hi.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
good.
tried to say hi. We did, like me and my mom stayed up all night. Like we did not sleep. We
Right.
had reserved room 217, and that's technically where we slept. That's where my dad and my siblings slept.
And you ghost hunted.
And I ghost hunted, and then eventually, once they like were both snoring, Mom and I were like, "What if we went down to the lobby? What if we like walked around?"
What if we left our room? I think we can't.
Yeah, the thing's that we're not stuck in the room. We have
It's a hotel.
It's a hotel. We
You
can go wherever you want. Yeah. We said that in sync.
Mm-hmm.
I want it that way. We are
Ghosts.
Ghosts. But the Steinway piano is now in like the women's sitting room in the hotel.
Cute.
Because it has a lot of the same rooms that like a Victorian home
would have.
It just was
Big.
bigger. And so that front room in front of the billiards room, it has like a little baby stage in there because it was built before the like the concert hall was, and so it was the original spot where like she was like performing for guests, like friends and family.
I
and
love
whatnot.
her.
But so the Steinway sits in there now, and every now and then staff and guests will report hearing like little
Little doodles.
just like little tinks of the guitar. Little
guitar?
tink-tee-tee-tee.
You mean piano?
Fucking piano. I was thinking about the strings
Of a piano.
of the piano,
Mm-hmm.
and so guitar came out.
Yeah.
But it's never a full song. It's always
Right.
just like a little.
Tink, tink, tink. Yeah.
But like that piano is in a spot where like you would have to cross multiple barriers to get to it,
Right.
and so like if that, and you went to look, there's not a way to get away from it without like
Being seen.
being seen. And so sometimes she does play on the piano a little bit.
Good.
Most of the time during the day, in the mornings. But
Goes and does her scales first thing. Warms
yeah,
up.
warms up, gets a little.
Gets a little loosey goosey for putting some perfume in people's faces later in the day.
Yep. So in 1911, the hotel added a gas system.
Not just steam.
Not just steam, not electricity.
Mhm.
The electricity would sometimes go out.
Right.
Because it's a snowy area.
Yeah. And so because it was based on a water wheel, they added gas to the hotel to run like lights and electricity in 1911. And so that got finished June 24th. June 25th, there was a big accident.
Oh no.
Because the system was brand new and had not really been tested yet. Room 217 ended up getting flooded with gas.
Oh no.
And so one of the like maids lit a match to light
A lamp.
a lamp, and the whole room exploded.
Oh, she died.
And she died.
She did not die.
Okay,
Oh.
good.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, also, I hope she wasn't like horribly disfigured or anything.
I'm so sorry. microphone.
Horrible things happened to her, and I will read the telegraph
Oh no.
of the accident
Great.
and then a couple other quotes about it, because like, damn.
Oh, is this why the extra window stuff happened?
This is why there are a couple extra windows on that side, because whenever they remodeled, they were like, let's add a couple extra windows.
Yeah.
Because that is the corner that faces the park. So you can see a little bit more of like the mountains and a little bit less of the town. So a couple different newspaper articles said different things, but the two most accepted stories, because her name gets changed amongst different stories.
Right.
But her first name is Elizabeth. Her last name is sometimes Wilson, sometimes Walker.
Okay.
There-
Elizabeth W.
Yeah, Elizabeth W. Of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. A hotel employee was hurled from the second to the first floor, and both ankles were broken.
Oh no.
The other 7 injuries are African American waiters. And so this was part of a telegraph that was sent to make the news known.
Right.
York, Pennsylvania. So probably to Effie
Right.
to make him aware.
To the twin.
The most comprehensive and detailed article on the incident appeared June 29th in the Fort Collins Express, another newspaper. And it said that the maid had been, quote, hurled from the second to the first floor, which, like, every description of this is so horrible
Yeah.
that she, like, boom,
Right.
from the second floor to the first floor.
Oh
And
my
like
gosh.
the first floor is a taller floor because it is like the lobby. It's there's a stage directly under. She was in a coma from that.
Oh no.
So that happened in 1911 for 2 years. Whenever she woke up from her coma, she returned to work at the hotel
Girl.
in 1913 and remained employed by the hotel until 1950.
Oh my gosh.
She
What an icon. And also, what a
She
great
loved the
Elizabeth.
hotel.
Oh my God.
But also, like, what a testament to the kind of employers the Stanleys were.
Right. That she
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I almost died and was in a coma for 2 years. I'll come back to work.
and it
And-
broke both
and
my ankles.
I'll be back to work tomorrow.
Yeah,
And that she, like, they weren't like, we can't
have you.
we can't have you back. Like,
You blew up the building.
like,
yeah. Because like it was not her fault.
No, it was an
that
accident.
happened. Yeah,
well, and I don't think it was.
But I appreciate
also,
that they understood, like, oh no, it was an accident.
it was
you
an
didn't
accident.
do this.
Yeah, you
You
didn't,
blow
do
up the
this.
building. I mean, you did, but like you didn't do it on purpose.
Right. It was not intentional. Like
It was also wasn't your fault, even really.
yeah, and that they loved her enough to be like, yeah, you can come back.
Please come
back. Please.
It's so good.
it wouldn't surprise me if under the table something not reported, like if they helped pay for like medical care
Oh,
or
I
something
bet.
for her. I'm sure they did. I'm just saying, like
Right.
they're the kind of people that wouldn't like make
I'm
that well
sure they
known.
didn't let her suffer in the hospital
Oh, yeah.
without
For
helping,
2
but also
years.
who wouldn't be like, we helped our maid.
Right.
Yeah.
They were like,
This is the right thing to do
yeah.
for our employee, for somebody that we
Mhm.
care about.
Yeah.
because they're good people and I
Ugh.
Yeah. They're lovely people. But Elizabeth is very often a helpful haunt.
I love
Um,
her.
Yeah. Guests have shared stories about returning to their room after like going to dinner or going to a show or whatever, and coming back to their room, and suddenly things are just a little bit tidier than when they left.
But not like an actual maid came in.
Yeah, they're like, my suitcase was rearranged, and like my underwear are all now like folded.
I love that she's like, I'll help you, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Clearly you
You're
don't know
doing
how to
it
fold your
wrong.
clothes.
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing.
Comes in and she's like, oh my gosh.
There's one couple that reported to the front desk that they had been that the bed had been made while they were still in it. They
were
woke up and they
napping.
were like, how?
They were like, I've been tucked in.
How do I get out
But
of
not
this?
not like tucked in, like
Right. Like hospital cornered in.
What an iconic move, Elizabeth. Tuck them in real tight.
the only one thing that sometimes happens that is a little less friendly is that if an unmarried couple is staying in a room together, they'll feel uneasy. They'll feel like they're being watched and like real chilly. They'll be like,
They're being judged by someone's nana.
What are you doing?
Elizabeth's looking at them like, I don't see any wedding rings.
yeah,
Show me a ring. Show me a ring.
yeah.
Are you married?
Are you married?
When did you get married? Show me your wedding certificate. Wedding
God,
certificate? Wedding license.
Filthy.
Horrible. You disgusting youths.
But most of the hauntings are on the 4th floor, which used to be a floor that they hosted a lot of the children on.
Oh,
And so, like, parents would have rooms in the rest of the floors, and the nannies with children would be up
Aw.
on the 4th floor.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And so, but very few of the ghosts seen up there are children.
Weird.
Yeah, which is a little odd, but I guess whatever energy's up there just like
That's weird.
I don't know. Whatever
wonder if
energy the
it's-
children left there.
I wonder if it's the people who were children there
Maybe.
have come back as adult ghosts.
Potentially. So in room 401, there's an unfriendly male ghost by some accounts.
GTFO is what he says.
Women are constantly uncomfortable in this room, and there's been like claims of like being inappropriately touched by this unknown presence, and especially like in and around the closet area, people feel
Ew.
uncomfortable.
He's watching you change.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
One man claims he witnessed his wedding ring inexplicably move from the bathroom counter and fall down the drain of the sink in the bathroom.
How rude.
Yeah.
I want
does
your
kind of
wife.
sound like a little kid though.
I want your wife.
He's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna throw your ring down the sink.
That one does kind of sound like a kid.
I don't think that you're good for your wife. I'm gonna throw your ring down the sink.
I don't like you. Got funny energy. In room 407, guests are tucked into bed.
A lot of the tucking.
That
Yeah,
sounds
a
like,
lot-
that
a
sounds
lot
like
of
a
tucking
nanny
into
though.
bed. Huh?
That sounds like a nanny though.
It sounds like a nanny.
tucking the kids in.
Pardon me.
Gotta make sure you're cozy.
And some people have felt people sit on the foot of the bed,
Nanny.
only to
Or
find
a-
like an indentation.
That sounds like a
another
nanny or a
nanny.
parent.
Nanny's sitting down, being like, "Go to sleep."
Yeah.
Sleep, please.
428 is a particularly weird one, I
Oh.
think. There's a cowboy ghost.
I've heard about this one.
Yeah, and he just kind of like stands there and like looms and like looks at you
I mean, that's what cowboys do.
With his cowboy hat
with
on,
his hat.
with
Yeah.
his hat in the dark,
Is this foreshadowing?
with his hat.
And also in this room, it is the top floor of the hotel, so there's nothing above other than like the roof,
ceiling, the roof.
the ceiling, and the roof. People will hear like stomping and like feet, footsteps. Thank you.
Stomping and like feet,
Yeah.
feet steeps.
Coming from the ceiling, and
That's
there's
crazy.
nothing up there. There's no more rooms up there. But just generally around the property, there are reports of like playing and pulling of hair.
Kids.
Assumably kids. These are all in the like children category, and then on the 4th floor, children laughing and playing
Well,
like
if it's
sounds.
if it's a 4th floor, if that was the kids' floor, that makes
Right.
total
That's
sense.
where the
It's a
kids are.
residual
yeah,
haunt.
it's where the kids are. They're hanging out. They're having fun. They're playing games. They're playing with balls and whatnot.
Right.
A fun, interesting, kind of spooky like area, there are caves under the hotel.
What?
These caves are man-made.
Oh.
They
well,
were
fine.
meant to, like, especially in the early days of the hotel, be travel spaces between locations for people who worked at the hotel.
Oh, for when it was really yucky.
That makes sense.
Not for when it was yucky.
Just because they were staff.
for staff, just so
Oh,
not
well.
like
Seen and
not
or
seen,
not seen, not heard.
not seen, not heard, be invisible.
But also when snow outside, go underground.
Well, yeah, but it's all under like the main building of the hotel, not two other buildings.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Oh, I hope that was into the mic. The tunnels go all under the main building and not to the other buildings.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
I
I
so
suppose.
yeah, not quite for yucky weather, more for do not be seen by guests.
Yeah, more for do not travel through guest areas.
Yeah. But there is said to be a pastry chef down there. And so you will just out of nowhere from like just the rock and like mildew of ground smell baked goods.
What a vibe, honestly.
Yeah.
I'd
Like
love
out
that.
of nowhere, just be like,
Sugar.
is that a croissant?
I'm like, what?
What? But on the tours, they do tell kind of an odd story down there that
You get to go down there?
Mhm.
Oh, neat.
On some of the tours, they will take you down there into the
caves.
part of the tunnel.
That's cool.
And it's actually pretty cool because you can like hear people stomping above you,
That's cool.
and you're like, oh, there's people up there. But because there are just limestone walls around you, the like tour guides will say like, don't take rocks, not because we don't want you to take rocks, but because people will take rocks and then have to mail us boxes of rocks back because the rocks will somehow multiply, and they don't want more rocks.
Ghost rocks.
Ghost rocks. They're weird rocks, I guess.
There are rocks that can procreate?
Yep. I don't know.
It's,
That's the story they told us on the tour. They could have been lying to us.
Or maybe it's like you take a rock and then a bunch of rocks, the rocks are apporting to you because they're trying to rebuild the cave under the Stanley
The
in
cave,
your
yeah.
house.
Right. Who knows? But like they said like it is not weird for them to like receive a box of rocks.
With a
note that's mail. like,
I took one of these, I'm so sorry.
I took them, so sorry. Please take them away. I don't want more.
They keep appearing.
The caves have a high concentration of limestone and quartz, which
Ghosts.
ghosts.
Energy
Energy trapped in there.
Ghosts.
But while on one of the tours, my mom did get touched in there. And she was like, it was very, very, very cold.
Jonna.
Jonna. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Jonna.
Hi, Mom. But another one from Mom and I, while we were
Another one.
doing our investigations, this very little information, but my mom was like, if you're doing the Stanley, you have to talk about it, because if
Yeah.
nobody else has talked about it, nobody else has said this name of this ghost, and nobody at the hotel seemed to have any recognition of this name. So say it on your podcast so that you have claim over you. We saw this ghost first. But so we did a few different Estes methods. And in room 217, we did talk to a ghost that called itself Robert. And Robert over and over and over again was like, I have a secret. He never told us the secret, but like was insistent that like there was a secret, and like he was able to like intelligently give us answers to things, and talk about like other places in Colorado, but kept insisting that he had a secret, but wouldn't
Tell you the secret.
wouldn't tell us the secret. So if anybody else experiences anything with Robert,
Get him to tell you the secret.
yeah,
And then email us about it.
yeah, tell us about it. We would be fascinated to know. Like I said earlier, the concert hall has that Tiffany chandelier. And sometimes, so that chandelier no longer works. It is no longer connected to electricity. Sometimes it just turns on.
Oh,
Sometimes, even though there is no electricity going to it,
right.
it is not connected to any sort of power. It will turn on.
That's like there are some places in Waverly Hills like that where it's like there's no power to this part of the building, but I see lights on in there.
Yeah.
And it's like
Right.
that doesn't work that way.
Right. And so sometimes people will hear Flora playing music in there. Sometimes other musicians will be heard in there. But there's a number of other ghosts in the concert hall, and if you want to know more about them, you should watch Spirits of the Stanley. They go really in depth into a lot of the ghosts in there. That is primarily where they are investigating in that series.
Right.
And so I'm not going to spend too much time
You
on
get
that
your
one.
homework is go watch Spirits of the Stanley. It's not long.
It's
on
really
YouTube.
cool.
It's very good. You get to watch them develop the Estes method, which is called that because of Estes
them.
Park. Like go watch
It's pretty neat. And there's a ghost named Paul who was a groundskeeper at the hotel, and for a majority of his life he loved it there. He died and continued working there.
Yep.
And so if you're out and about on the grounds past 11 p.m., he may come up to you and be like, "Get out,
Go inside.
go inside.
Go inside.
It's past bedtime. Go to bed."
Go to bed. Get out of my grass.
But he's also known to be really playful. He'll push on people, be like, "What are you doing?" But he is a big fan of turning on and off flashlights for tours. He is one known to interact really well with tours.
That's fun.
He likes to perform. He likes the center
He likes
of
to be
attention.
known.
Yeah. And a couple other weird things. One is an old place on the site. They have a pet cemetery,
Oh.
which wasn't uncommon,
Right.
but the Stanleys had a couple different pets that eventually passed. One was a golden retriever, Cassie, and sometimes she's still seen on property, and Comanche, a fluffy white cat, who has also been seen around property.
Oh my God, ghost cat.
Ghost cat, ghost dog. They will both scratch at doors to be let in, and then when you open the door, there's
nothing there.
Love me.
no animals there.
They're like, hey, it's cold. And then you open the door and they're like, I'm dead.
And so
Now
one
I've
thing,
made you cold.
Yeah.
that happened in the last couple years is there was a new exhibit that was added to the Stanley Hotel. So in a nearby smaller town than Estes, there used to be a dead guy festival, frozen dead guy festival, because in this town, there was an old guy that died and got frozen, and they found him still frozen. And he was kind of he ended up becoming like a cryogenics experiment, pretty much.
Oh.
And every year in this small town, there was Frozen Dead Guy Festival.
Oh my God.
It's a thing. I tried to go whenever I lived in Colorado, but the weekends just didn't match up for me.
I'm so sorry.
And recently, the festival had to stop happening in the original town, but the Stanley Hotel decided
We'll host it.
we'll host it, and so has brought the festival to Estes Park.
That's so neat.
And with bringing the festival to Estes Park, they now have him at the hotel. They have the world's only cryogenics museum inside of the Stanley now, with the frozen dead guy, Brito Morstall, in the hotel.
That's crazy.
And so weird addition to the hotel. Kind of cool, kind of fun, because they're investing back into the community like the Stanleys always have.
Right.
But it makes me wonder. I wonder if Mr. Frozen Dead Guy
Is also now there.
is now there or has impacted any of the other ghosts. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it. I have not seen any content about updates to who the ghosts are, if
Right.
there are any new ghosts or anything like that. But yeah,
Cool.
What have y'all learned? What was your favorite
I
part?
learned
What's your
so
F.O.
much.
Stanley is my hero. That's what I learned.
I think I love this location more because it's made out because of The Shining to be a very scary place.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a place full of love.
Place
Yeah.
full of love.
And it was a place full of love from Epho and Flora. It was a place full of love by the people that worked there and
the people
still
that
work
visited there.
It's a place that's loved by the people that visited, that still visit.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing but good, 99%,
Right.
have come out of the Stanley, and it's just, I think it's a wholesome haunt.
Yeah.
Wholesome haunt.
Wholesome haunt.
Stamp.
I think I'm going to start rating them.
Wholesome haunt.
Wholesome haunt, scary AF haunt, somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. On a
Wholesome
scale of
haunt.
wholesome to scary. This is definitely wholesome.
Yeah.
I loved all the stuff about the history. That's really fun. I love learning about Mr. Stanley.
Yeah, sorry
and
if you
his
were here
lovely
for the
wife.
ghosts. All we're here for
Hey,
is history.
You got some ghosts at the end.
Mhm.
I do like that it's like, you know, like we talked about in Waverly Hills, like recontextualizing the concept of a haunted location.
Yeah.
And I like that it's not scary.
Yeah.
Most of the people who are dead there because they really liked it when they were alive there.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Did Mr. and Mrs. Stanley live on the property? Or was there did they live in their big house that they built elsewhere?
For the most of the time they lived in their house, but I know that they did sometimes stay at the hotel.
Okay, I just didn't know if they had like moved, like if they had a suite that they lived
No,
in.
they
or
did not
anything.
have a suite that
Okay.
they lived in. The
Cool.
the 217 suite is like the biggest suite, the luxury suite.
Mm-hmm.
There ended up being more buildings added on. So
Right.
in the era that like it was uncouth to like have unmarried couples like stay in the same place. Unmarried women would stay in the main hotel, and there was essentially a bachelor's
hotel. I really did like.
I truly learned so much.
I did because again, my knowledge of it is from seeing it on paranormal television when it's always super scary. It's scary stuff.
Yeah.
And then having seen The Shining.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, I think the spirits of the Stanley do a really good job
And that.
humanizing the haunts,
Right.
the spirits that are there.
it's so good.
We love them.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with everything that I learned. And also, it was cool that FO and FE Stanley were just neat guys.
They were just cool guys.
That liked
Yeah.
to invent stuff. Neato burrito dudes.
Cool
Yeah.
guys.
Cool guys.
Cool guys.
Just a cool guy.
I think that's all we need to know about the Stanley for now. Join us next week. Who knows what we'll talk about? Thanks for listening.
This podcast is for weirdos.
Are you a weirdo?
Thursdays are for the phenomena.